Welcome to Economic News Desk. For August 10, 2026, we are looking at three high-stakes developments that highlight a search for stability in an increasingly volatile global market. From a massive merger that could reshape the Hollywood landscape to a controversial new frontier where people are betting on the outcomes of medical breakthroughs. I begin with the battle for the big screen. A proposed $111 billion merger between Paramount, Skydance, and Warner Bros. Discovery is currently caught in a tug-of-war between industry giants and regulators. On one side, the country's largest movie theatre chains are throwing their weight behind the deal. Eduardo Acuna, the CEO of Regal Cinemas, has stated he believes in the merger, citing a commitment from the combined studios to release 30 films annually into theatres. Adam Aron, the CEO of MC, has echoed this sentiment, arguing that larger, consolidated studios are essential to maintaining the momentum currently being seen at the domestic box office. But that momentum faces significant headwinds. Hollywood creators, including actors and directors, have warned that such consolidation could lead to job losses and higher ticket prices for consumers. There is also a legal challenge brewing. Attorneys general from 12 states are currently suing Paramount over antitrust concerns, with a trial set for next March. Beyond the legal and creative opposition, there are deep financial concerns. Michael O'Leary, the CEO of Cinema United, has expressed skepticism regarding the promises made about content and the massive $80 billion annual debt load hanging over the potential new entity. The clock is also ticking for the companies involved. If the deal fails to close by the end of September, Paramount is required to pay Warner Bros. shareholders $7 million every single day. While the entertainment industry grapples with consolidation, private equity investors are looking toward cultural icons to find assets they believe are AI-proof. This was the driving force behind a proposed $4.2 billion investment in the FIFA World Cup by Thrive Eternal, a spin-off of Thrive Capital led by Joshua Kushner. The group's strategy was based on the idea that the traditional, human identity of football is a unique asset that cannot be replicated or disrupted by artificial intelligence. The proposed deal would have been structured through a holding company with investors prepared to wait decades for returns. If it had gone through, the deal could have provided member associations with equity worth up to $91 million each, money intended to fund domestic infrastructure like new stadiums and training facilities. However, the plan was ultimately sidelined following intense political opposition within FIFA, which included calls for President Gianni Infantino to resign and threats of boycotts. While the 2026 World Cup is currently on track to generate record-breaking revenues through sponsorships and broadcast rights, this sideline proposal highlights a growing trend of institutional investors attempting to hedge against the AI revolution by buying into global sporting traditions. Finally, we turn to a much more controversial intersection of finance and science. Prediction markets like Kalshi and Polymarket are moving into a territory that many experts are calling ghastly, betting on the outcomes of clinical trials and FDA drug approvals. Proponents of these markets argue they provide vital real-time data that can help investors decide which new drugs are worth funding. However, the medical community is raising alarms. Researchers and professors from institutions like Boston University and the Mayo Clinic warn that these markets could fundamentally interfere with the integrity of the drug development process. The concern is that because investigators or trial participants can influence variables within a study, speculators might create financial incentives to manipulate data or outcomes. There are also significant questions regarding insider trading. While Kalshi maintains that it uses safeguards to monitor unusual activity, skeptics argue it may be nearly impossible to catch all bad actors given the number of people involved in clinical trials. Beyond the financial risks, critics argue that these markets gamify human suffering, noting that a failed trial isn't just a lost bet. It represents real patients losing access to potential medical options. Currently, Kalshi has implemented some limits, such as only allowing bets on late-stage trials where participants have already been selected and prohibiting bets on markets where all subjects are minors. But the ethical debate over the intersection of gambling and medical science is far from settled.